So once again, my name is Weldon Hastings, and you're watching another how-to with Weldon Hastings at WeldonPC. Today we're going to be covering mastering Windows 11. This is a very brief walkthrough and some basic features of Windows 11. If you have any questions along the way, please feel free to and stop me and we can address any questions you have. If we don't go in depth enough, let us know. We can kind of go a little further. And if you'd like us to simplify a little bit, again, let us know. You don't have to speak up. You could also put it in our online chat, in the meeting chat, and we're going to go ahead and get started from here. So we're going to go over a brief introduction of what Windows 11 is and why it's important to learn those new features. That's kind of our goal today. Windows 11 was released October 5th, 2021 to the general public. It has been a mostly positive reception. Obviously, everybody has an opinion on Windows in general. I'd be one of those people. I'm kind of a Windows 7 person myself, but Windows 11 really does have a lot of the Windows 7 features in the feel to it. So Microsoft kind of forces us to go this direction. So that's the direction we're going to go. There are some differences between Windows 10 and Windows 11. There is a new Microsoft Store. You do have the ability of using some Android apps on Windows 11. And then here's going to be a couple-minute video on the differences between Windows 10 and 11.
Today we'll be comparing Windows 10 to Windows 11. What's different in both versions of Windows? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Starting off with the Start menu, Microsoft did a complete redesign. Pinned apps moved from the right side to the top half, and live tiles are now gone and are replaced with static icons in a grid. The search bar is now located in the Start menu rather than being part of the taskbar, and those little side panel shortcuts that were on the left side are now at the bottom. And here's something not present in the Windows 10 Start menu at all, and that's the new recommended section, and it shows recently used programs and files, which, by the way, are also synced with OneDrive. Think of this as a much more simplified version of the timeline feature found in Windows 10's Task Viewer. The All Apps list, which was on the left side of the Start menu in Windows 10, is now its own menu in Windows 11 using a button. And within the All Apps list, some older programs like Windows Explorer and Notepad are now part of the list rather than being part of the Windows System or Windows Accessories folder within the list. In fact, those folders are now completely removed and replaced with a shortcut to Control Panel called Windows Tools that lists many legacy built-in Windows programs that were previously in those folders. Moving on to changes in the taskbar, we see a lot of differences. The icons went from being left aligned to centered, although there's a setting to revert this. And if you look closely, the taskbar is also slightly taller in Windows 11. Hard to notice, but it is there. The UI for active and idle programs has been changed. It's now indicated by the color and length of a little line in the taskbar icon with a transparent rounded square around a program when active. The animation in the taskbar for apps that are doing certain actions have been redesigned. For example, here are both animations for downloading or installing something, and here are both animations for apps that need your attention, like the user account control prompt. There are now bouncy icon animations when you open or close programs. Badges on apps have gone a little redesigned. If you hover over the search or task view icon, you get quick little actions you can do without needing to click the icon. The start button no longer changes color based on your accent color, as you can see. And now here's some features that got removed from the taskbar in Windows 11. Firstly, you can only dock the taskbar to the bottom now. No more top, left, or right dock taskbars. Sizing options like the small taskbar buttons are now gone, as well as the never combine setting that allows you to see text previews of the programs from the taskbar. Oh yeah, you also can't drag and drop files in the taskbar anymore for some reason, which is pretty bizarre. And right-clicking on the taskbar doesn't give all those little settings and shortcuts, just a shortcut to taskbar settings. Now here's just general UI changes. So starting off, say goodbye to the sharp corners in Windows 10 and say hello to the rounded corners in Windows 11. And this is no understatement. Every single element in Windows 11 is now round, even the very, very old stuff. There are now new animations for opening, minimizing, and maximizing a window. Windows 10 went for a more of a fade approach, while in Windows 11, the animation has a lot more resizing and fluidity action going on. Almost every single icon in Windows 11 has been redesigned to stay consistent with its modern design language. Some elements of this were present in Windows 10, however, now it's everywhere, even in legacy areas like the control panel. As with every modern version of Windows, there's a new wallpaper. Previously, there was the old hero wallpaper, which was light shining out of a Windows logo, and now the background is much like a blue bloom, if that makes any sense. Microsoft also introduced new themes. Previously in Windows 10, there were 4 themes to choose from by default. Now there are 6. Light mode is also now the new default theme for Windows 11 rather than the hybrid of a dark taskbar and light apps in Windows 10. The Windows logo has gone through a redesign. It now resembles the Microsoft logo a lot more. The lock screen has gone through some changes, but it's pretty underwhelming. To sum it up, elements of the lock screen have now been centered and the quick status is now removed. You can only show one app that shows detailed status. Windows 11 now introduces a new blur effect called Mica and Acrylic. The blur will always show your desktop wallpaper even if the window is on top of a window with a different color. Look at how Calculator's blur shows the desktop wallpaper as opposed to the white blur in the calculator in Windows 10 despite both being in front of Notepad. Windows 11 now has a new font called, and I'm definitely going to mispronounce this, Segoe UI Variable, which is Microsoft's modified version of the previous Segoe UI font found in Windows 10. To paraphrase, Microsoft basically says this is a more pleasing and easier font to read. The screen with the spinning logo when signing in or out, doing updates, restarting and stuff like that now only shows a black background, unlike Windows 10 where it takes your accent color and sets that as the color of the background. Similarly, depending on whether you're using the dark or light mode, opening apps with splash screens will only show a black or white background in Windows 11, rather than conforming to the color of the background with the accent color in Windows 10. Context menus throughout Windows 11 have now been up.
One thing I am going to point out in stopping this video, the one big complaint in the tech world for more advanced users, on the right side you'll see at the bottom the show more options. That's been a huge point of contention because in prior versions of Windows, if you right click on something, you get a full menu, whereas in Windows 11 you get this abbreviated menu. But I'll continue.
Needed to look more modern. However, there is still an option within the context menu called Show More Options that allows you to see the old one that is seen in Windows 10 if you need it for some reason. Alert boxes for things like changing display settings and low battery alerts now have a complete redesign in Windows 11. Unlike Windows 10, Windows 11 now has a colored line at the bottom of some text boxes. Finally, in Windows 11 sign-in screen, the text box is now dark instead of white in Windows 10, and then the enter arrow looks like it's part of the text box rather than being on its own in Windows 10. In terms of system sounds, Windows 11 actually has different sounds between its...
And I'll tell you what, that pretty much sums up the user interface. If I go too much deeper into this, it gets a little confusing. So I'm going to leave it at that for the interface. Before I continue, does anybody have any questions? Again, we are on recorded screen right now, so if you don't want your question to be recorded, go ahead and enter it into the meeting chat, or if you want to unmute yourself, go ahead and unmute and ask your question if you have one. All right, we'll go on to the next slide. So there is a new feature in Windows 11 called a virtual desktop, and it's a way for you to manage multiple desktops kind of in one computer, which is kind of a neat feature. So we'll continue on with this.
Features with Windows 11 that we've had for several iterations of Windows now, but it keeps getting improvements, is the multiple desktop feature. And I'm really excited about this because this is definitely something I use now all the time when I'm working with laptops, especially with their limited screen sizes. I expect this functionality on the Mac, on Linux, on Windows now. I can't live without it. So here's the new and improved interface for this. We have this multiple desktop button down here, and notice when I hover over it, it shows that I'm only working with this one desktop. Notice that there is the option to create another desktop. So let me take advantage of that. And one of the nice things we can do here is rename it. So this is going to be my desktop that is for research. And this other desktop that I'm going to create, this one will be for utilities. So I'll name that appropriately. This is our utilities desktop. And then might as well name this first one. I'm going to rename this, and this is our writing desktop. Now, the other nice thing you can do here is choose a background for each of the desktops individually, and this can really help you identify which one you're working with. So notice I will set all three backgrounds differently, and this kind of scratches the itch that I have on, just making my desktop look cool. So this is kind of neat. I get 3 looks for the price of 1. So now that I've got my 3 desktops created and I've got their background set, notice that when I come down here and if I click on this button for the multiple desktops, I can see all of the apps that are running, and I can now place the appropriate apps on their appropriate desktops. And normally you could click and drag here, but my recording software is actually in the way of that. So if you run into a situation like that, you can just right click, and this is for my research desktop. So I just sent that app to the research desktop. This is for my utilities desktop. So I just sent that app to the utilities desktop. So now, oh my goodness, do I love working with this laptop. Here I am doing some writing on some questions for a Udemy course. And if I just swipe, 3-finger swipe on my what's it called? Touchpad. There we go. On my touchpad, notice now I'm on the research desktop. And this is where I can do my research, and then a 3-finger swipe, and I'm over here at the utilities desktop. So notice I am going between the applications that I need with this 3-finger, or actually it's a 4-finger swipe on the touchpad. Let's see, did 3 fingers work? Nope, it's definitely a 4-finger swipe. So yeah, 4 fingers. There's also command keys you can use. I don't use them. It's like, Control, Windows key, right arrow, and let's try that. So Control, Windows key, right arrow, yes. So that's going to take you from desktop to desktop. But when you have a touchpad or a touch-friendly mouse, boy, the swiping is really the way to go. So the multiple desktop feature. Now, keep in mind, if I go over to the research desktop and there's some other application that I need, like, I'll just be silly. Maybe I need my to-do application, which I don't even use. But that app is now opened on that desktop, and that's where that app will remain. So I love multiple desktops. Notice I am not calling this virtual desktops as many do, because that is something entirely different in my terminology. A virtual desktop is when we are going to be bringing the desktop to the client down from like the cloud, as an example. This is just a handy local multiple desktop feature that should help you to multitask. By the way, when you no longer want this layout, of course, you can come in and you can get rid of these additional desktops. And now all of the apps that you were working with, of course, are going to be moved to this main desktop that we have left. Well, thanks so much for watching. Hope this turns you on to a Windows 11 feature that's been around for a while that I can't live without.
So that's the, and we are going to use the proper term, that is the virtual desktop and the way to manage some of your windows. Before I continue, does anybody have any questions? All right, we're going to go ahead and continue. So this is going to be a very brief overview of the new Microsoft Store. And for anybody who's interested in gaming, whether it's basic gaming or more advanced gaming, we're going to play a minute or two of this, and then we'll stop for questions.
We like to think ourselves as product makers, right? Not engineers, not designers, whatever we can do to make this store app shine.
A lot of users don't pay much attention to the store. It's an afterthought for them, and we want to change that.
The feedback from Windows Insider was important. We want to hear them. We want to listen to every word they say.
People were really struggling to find what they were looking for.
Design plays a critical role. It is the experience.
We redesigned the browsing experience. Search, for example, we centered and would have auto suggest for you to find what you're looking for.
We have introduced new navigation patterns to the store.
We made sure that the user had very clear understanding of where to go, right? we thought, let's try more ideas. We added more micro interactions, new animations, gestures, parallax effects, and the lights that will follow your mouse cursor around. The level of discoverability, interactivity, and just playfulness really shines.
We also have a number of developers that are publishing to the store. And so we want a store that feels inviting to them as well.
We open the door to all apps. It's not only just UWP, it's also Win32 apps, PWAs. So we have developed something called pop-up store. And what each of our developers can do is can provide the same store experience on their website.
You want to show off your app. And so what we've done is we've actually brought called our previews module, screenshots and trailers. We've brought that to the top. We've also brought the most pertinent details and the buy button. We've moved that to the left side and affixed that so that stays constant. So for customers, you can always find exactly where you need to go.
When users think of the new store, they're going to think it's easier, it's simpler, they'll be able to find things more quickly.
So the advantage of downloading anything from the Microsoft Store as opposed to downloading directly off the internet is with the store, you're generally going to get something that Microsoft has already determined to be safe for your computer. So there is some advantage to going to the store rather than just trying to download a program right from the internet. That's kind of one of the advantages of the store over just going to a website and downloading what you hope and what you think may be something safe when in actuality it's not. If there's any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat, or you can unmute yourself. And if there's nothing, we'll continue on. So this is just a brief video about some integrations and connectivity. Really, the two major things here are going to be the Microsoft Chat feature and everybody's favorite, I'm being sarcastic, because everybody always asks if we could get rid of Teams, but it'll give a brief overview of Microsoft Teams. It's good for communication, usually among organizations, schools, businesses, but I'll give you a brief overview of that.
I was sending random texts to my siblings, and they were like, "Lena, are you testing something for Teams?" And I was like, "Yeah," and they started chatting back.
I think the past year has really clarified the importance of technology in helping people stay connected. And Teams integration is all about that. It's how you connect to the people you care about in a single click.
What would it be if your operating system was defined by the relationships you have with other people?
We haven't seen this before, really in this way on Windows.
The idea is to bring the power of Teams, of collaboration, communication closer. By integrating it into Windows directly, it just opens it up for every single person out there.
Within just a click, you have chatting, meeting capability, calling capability. You can even text people. So you can just put a phone number in and you'll automatically be able to connect with whoever.
So as opposed to asking mom and dad to go download something and go through some litany of dialogues and what is this, you just get a hold of them.
You can stay completely in your flow.
I can do it all from my desktop.
You don't have to take a phone out of your pocket. It's right there.
I would say that we are creating new spaces together.
Yeah, exciting is definitely just it's an understatement.
I think Windows 11, as Pano said, was the beginning of a journey, and we are very excited to see where we take this.
So that's a brief overview of the chat and connectivity that Microsoft has implemented with Windows 11. There was some implementation there with Windows 10, but it's definitely been improved with Windows 11. Widgets is something that was kind of shied away, if you will, in Windows 10. It was pretty heavy in Windows 7. They've kind of brought some of it back, and here's some information on the new widgets and touch features that they've added with Windows 11.
Widgets are an easy way to stay on top of the information that matters most to you in your daily life. We continue to improve the layout and functionality of the widgets board. For example, the default pane now features a larger layout with dedicated space for your pinned apps. There's also a personalized feed to help you discover news and content based on your interests. Let's take a tour. To open the widgets board, select the widgets icon that shows live weather in the left corner of your taskbar, or press the Windows logo key in W. To close it, simply click or tap anywhere outside the widgets board. Want to install new widgets? Select the plus icon in the upper right corner of the widgets board to see a list of supported apps. Want to pin a widget to keep it in a predictable location? Select more options in the upper right corner of the widget, then select pin. To move a pinned widget to another spot on the board, simply click the widget header and drag the widget to a new location in the pin section. You'll find other ways to personalize your widget experience on the More Options menu. For example, you can make a widget larger or smaller in the pin section. You can also customize your weather location or hide a widget from your feed. The stream of widgets and news content shown on your widgets board will become more personalized over time. To get started, tell us what you care about by selecting Manage Interests in the Widget Settings dialog. This will open the My Interests page in Microsoft Edge, and from there, you can use the search box to find topics and publishers you want to.
Sorry, guys, I just bumped the button.
Widget, click the widget header and drag the widget to a new location in the pin section. You'll find other ways to personalize your widget experience on the More Options menu. For example, you can make a widget larger or smaller in the pin section. You can also customize your weather location or hide a widget from your feed. The stream of widgets and news content shown on your widgets board will become more personalized over time. To get started, tell us what you care about by selecting Manage Interests in the Widget Settings dialog. This will open the My Interests page in Microsoft Edge, and from there, you can use the search box to find topics and publishers you want to follow. Browse topics by category and select the ones that interest you. View and manage the interests and publishers that you're following. Finally, in addition to seeing live content on your taskbar from the weather widget, you might see live updates from other widgets like sports, finance, and breaking news. To customize the widget notifications that appear on your taskbar, select the profile icon in the upper right corner of the widgets board and use the toggles to adjust your notification settings.
So one of the questions in the chat, they say that Windows is still working out some issues. So is Windows 10 okay for now, or am I better to switch now? It's a great question, and let me explain some changes that have happened in the last couple iterations of Windows. With Windows 7, Microsoft still had 4,200 people working in Seattle at their corporate headquarters, and with that corporate headquarters, they had a testing team that was in place, and this enormous team of people would have a laptop by different manufacturers: Lenovo, Dell, HP. Back then it would be Gateway, Acer. You go through all the major manufacturers, and they would be issued to all of the Microsoft employees, and that was how they would test if there was a problem. They could report that right to developer in Seattle, and that's what would make Windows get better from its initial release date until really when they would start sending out service packs. The service packs are Windows updates, as you would know them. Those Windows updates will patch problems that developers at Microsoft or testing people at Microsoft would determine were a big constant problem. The problem with Windows 10 and Windows 11 and subsequently the newly announced Windows 12 is that testing phase has been altered significantly. There's not 4,200 people that are utilizing computers similar to what you and I are sitting on right now. What they've done is they virtualized everything. So the time in which Windows will be released and major updates happen takes a little bit longer between the time you realize there's a problem and the time that those problems are corrected. So that's kind of why there's always the I wouldn't say it's a misconception, but there's always the notion out there that when a new version of Windows comes out, it's not really stable right away, and that's actually not untrue. But usually the instabilities are all captured in the beta release, which is not publicly available when they start releasing any kind of software. I mean, it could be the Office suite or Windows. Even Mac OS goes through a similar beta testing, which is a closed group of people and not meant for commercial release, and commercial being somebody who sits at home on their computer. Same thing with your Android or iPhone. It's all kind of the same concept. That's what the beta release is it's kind of pre-testing before it is made commercially available. So are you better off switching now? The answer to that question would be, yeah, it's probably getting close if you're using Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10. You're due to start considering that Windows 11 update, only because we're starting to get down to the 1 year mark where sometime in 2020, I think it's October of 24, or is it October of 2025, they're mandating the end of life for Windows 10. In other words, no more updates will become available. So security breaches can become more prevalent, just like they were with Windows XP and Windows 7. Features will start to become non-functional, very much like Internet Explorer and Windows XP is hardly functional anymore. So if you do need to consider the upgrade, let us know. We'll give you some information at the end of the presentation here. We've got a few more slides left. Let me switch back over to the screen sharing. And then we'll go on to our next slide. If anybody has any other questions, please feel free to unmute. Or again, you're welcome to put it in the chat window. And we'll continue. We did that, sorry.
Windows 11 contains 3 principal security features designed to further protect you, your data, and your system from ever-increasing threats. In this video, we give a brief overview of these features and where to find them. The Trusted Platform module is security technology that is integrated into computers' mainboards, which protects the system against software vulnerabilities. Windows 11 will only run on PCs that have Trusted Platform module capabilities. So if you're planning to upgrade, then TPM 2.0 is required. For a comprehensive...
And I am going to pause this for a second. This video is a little outdated. They have pushed that back into later iterations of Windows. You do not have to have special hardware to run Windows 11 in any iteration right now. So please don't feel that you have to go out and buy a new computer. That is not the case.
List of Dell systems tested for upgrade to Windows 11, click the link shown. To check for it on your system, go into the Device Manager and expand Security Devices. If you have it, the TPM firmware will be shown here. Go into the Driver tab to see if you need to update the driver. You should also make sure that it's enabled. TPM is used for many important security features, including BitLocker device encryption, data execution prevention, which protects against malware apps from running in memory, Windows Hello, which is a secure user authentication, and Secure Boot and Measured Boot to block malicious software from hijacking the boot process of the operating system. To learn more about TPM 2.0, read our Dell Knowledge Base article, which you can access by clicking the link shown. Windows Security is a defense module of the Windows operating system dedicated exclusively to maintaining your system's safety and protecting your account from intrusions. To access it, go to Start and search for Windows Security and open it. Once inside, some of the options you'll find are virus and threat protection, account protection, firewall and network protection, app and browser control, and device security. Clicking on each will reveal details, options, and settings. You can view security alerts, review the possible actions, and make changes to your device. Windows Hello technology from Microsoft provides a more secure way to get instant access to your Windows 11 device by PIN, facial recognition, or your fingerprint. To access it, from within Windows Security, go into Account Protection. Click on Manage Sign-In Options to set up the biometrics.
Recognition data from the face camera and fingerprint reader is used to identify your unique traits, which is then encrypted and stored securely on your device for a much more personal sign-in. For our complete tutorial on Windows Hello, watch our Dell Tech support video on this channel. Just click the link shown. Remember, anytime you have questions or need help, you can always contact us through social media at Dell Cares on Twitter.
So that's some of the security features that Windows has built in. One thing I will caution everybody, even though Windows 11, just like Windows 10, had a lot of security features built in, do not have a false sense of security. You should have some supplemental security built in. And remember, these security features that they're discussing in this video that we just watched are more for things like theft. If somebody were to come into your home and steal your computer or the hard drive from your computer, BitLocker, Windows Hello, and the fingerprint recognition or the facial recognition is to stop them from accessing your data, not from accessing the computer. All of that can still be wiped out, and your computer would still be usable in the right hands. So don't have this false sense of security that the Windows Security Center, which is a Windows Defender on most computers, don't have the false notion that that is a catch-all for viruses. It is a very basic virus package that is sufficient for some users. So just keep that in mind when you're thinking security with Windows 10 and Windows 11.
Many other.
So here's we're going to skip the Windows tips and tricks. This is a very, very, very lengthy video. I can send out more information on some of the tips and tricks. The problem is this video is about 18 minutes long, which is very long, and he goes so fast. It's very, very difficult to make any kind of notes on any of these tips. And I apologize for that, but it's just, I don't think it's going to be good for this presentation.
So there's these.
So let's take a minute here. If you have any questions, we're kind of nearing the end here. We really only have a conclusion and some information, and that should be it. If you have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. And if not, you feel free to unmute yourself. And since there's nothing here, I want to tell everybody how much I appreciate you're logging in today and watching this, or watching this on Facebook or YouTube or right off of our website. I appreciate the support. If there's anything we can ever do for you, please feel free to give us a call. Our number is 888-7-WELDON. That's 888-793-5366. We're open 12 to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday. We are closed on the weekends. Currently, we have our main location in Garfield Heights, located at 5829 Turney Road. If you go to our website, you'll see our Nordonia Hills location, and we will be announcing our Broadview location before the end of 2023. We do have a third location coming, and we want to, again, thank everybody for helping us expand as much as we have in 2022 and 2023. And a special thank you goes out to Julie at the Nordonia Hills newspaper for our push in that expansion. If you have any problems or questions, please give us a call. Again, my name is Weldon, and thank you very much for tuning in. Have a great night, everybody.